Welcome to the digital frontline. In the last decade, our social media feeds have evolved from simple photo sharing apps into the primary conduits for global information. But behind the scroll, a quiet war is raging over who controls what you see. Is it the platforms themselves, or is the government pulling the strings? Today, we investigate the tension between national security and the First Amendment. We are looking at how the digital public square is being reshaped by behind-the-scenes directives, legal challenges, and the shifting definition of free speech in an era of viral misinformation. From the halls of Congress to the server rooms in Silicon Valley, the battle lines are drawn. This isn't just about politics. It is about the fundamental architecture of modern human communication and the right to speak without state-sanctioned filters. At the heart of this legal storm is a 26-word sentence known as Section 230. Enacted in 1996, it protects tech companies from being held liable for what their users post. However, this shield has become a point of intense political debate. Critics argue that when government officials encourage or pressure platforms to remove specific content, the platform essentially becomes a state actor. This turns private moderation into state censorship. We've seen thousands of internal emails revealed in the Twitter files and other investigations showing federal agencies flagging posts for removal. Is this helpful coordination to stop foreign interference, or is it an unconstitutional bypass of the Bill of Rights? The legal framework written for the dial-up era is now struggling to contain the complexities of the AI-driven information age. Data doesn't lie. Transparency reports from major tech giants show a staggering increase in government requests to remove content. Between 2020 and 2023, government requests for content restriction rose by over 300% globally. These requests range from national security concerns to alleged medical misinformation. In the United States alone, thousands of flags were sent to platforms during election cycles and public health crises. While platforms claim they retain the final say, the sheer volume of these requests suggests a level of institutionalized cooperation that many civil liberties groups find alarming. When the FBI or the White House sends a request to a Silicon Valley executive, is it truly a suggestion, or is it an order that the company feels it cannot refuse? The legal battle reached its peak at the U.S. Supreme Court with the case Murthy v. Missouri. This landmark litigation accused the Biden administration of pressuring social media companies to silence conservative voices and skeptics of COVID-19 policies. Lower courts initially described the government's actions as an unprecedented attack on free speech, likened to an Orwellian ministry of truth. However, the Supreme Court's 2024 ruling focused on standing, essentially saying the plaintiffs hadn't proven direct harm caused by the government's pressure. While the administration claimed victory, the dissenting justices warned that the door is now wide open for the government to use informal pressure to bypass the First Amendment entirely. This case underscores the difficulty of proving state-sponsored censorship when it happens behind closed doors. Defining misinformation is the ultimate challenge. Who gets to decide what is true? During the pandemic, posts suggesting the COVID-19 lab leak theory were initially banned or suppressed as dangerous misinformation. Later, those same theories were acknowledged as plausible by federal agencies like the DOE and FBI. This reversal highlights the danger. When the government suppresses wrong information, it may accidentally suppress the truth before it is fully understood. Critics argue that the label of misinformation is often used as a political tool to silence dissent or control the narrative. Meanwhile, platforms argue they have a responsibility to prevent real-world harm, such as violence or public health collapses. This dilemma is where the fight for the future of the internet is being fought, at the intersection of safety and objective reality. This isn't just an American issue. In Brazil, a Supreme Court justice recently ordered the nationwide suspension of X, formerly Twitter, after Elon Musk refused to block accounts accused of spreading anti-democratic content. This move affected 22 million users and sparked a global debate on digital sovereignty. Meanwhile, the European Union's Digital Services Act, DSA, grants regulators the power to fine companies up to 6% of their global revenue if they fail to combat illegal content and disinformation. In these regions, the line between regulation and censorship is even more blurred. These international cases serve as a warning. Once the precedent is set that a government can turn off a platform or dictate its content, the concept of a borderless, free internet begins to vanish. Censorship today is rarely a delete button, it's a volume knob. Through shadow banning, platforms can make a user's content invisible to everyone but themselves, or simply tune the algorithm to ensure certain viewpoints never go viral. Because these algorithms are proprietary black boxes, it is almost impossible for the public or even government regulators to prove bias. However, internal leaks and whistleblower testimonies suggest that visibility filtering is a standard tool used to appease government officials or satisfy internal corporate biases. When your reach is throttled by 90% without notification, is that a violation of your speech? As we move toward AI-curated feeds, the potential for invisible, automated censorship grows exponentially, making the real social media battle even harder to track. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of this battle is the involvement of the intelligence community. Revelations have shown that the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force regularly met with tech giants. While their stated goal was to prevent foreign election interference from countries like Russia and Iran, critics argue these meetings often drifted into domestic political policing. The Twitter files documented hundreds of requests from federal agents to scrutinize specific American accounts. The government argues this is vital for national security in a hybrid warfare environment. Civil libertarians, however, argue that the FBI should have no role in deciding what Americans can say to each other online. This intersection of domestic counter-disinformation and state power remains one of the most guarded and debated secrets in Washington. The result of this invisible battle is a total collapse of trust. According to recent surveys, nearly 70% of users believe social media platforms intentionally censor political viewpoints. This perception, whether fully accurate or not, fuels deep polarization. When people feel silenced on mainstream platforms, they migrate to alternative echo chambers where misinformation can truly flourish without any counter-debate. This fragmentation of the digital world means we no longer share a common reality. By trying to clean up the internet, the government and tech companies may have inadvertently made it more volatile. The more the state tries to control the narrative, the more the public seeks out fringe sources, creating a cycle of distrust that threatens the very democratic stability the regulators claim to be protecting. So, where do we go from here? The battle over government influence on social media is far from over. Future legislation, such as potential reforms to Section 230 or new transparency acts, will determine the rules of the road. But the ultimate solution may not be legal, it may be technological. Decentralized platforms and open-source algorithms offer a glimpse of a future where no single entity, government or corporate, holds the delete key. As informed citizens, the most powerful tool we have is media literacy and a demand for total transparency. The real social media battle isn't just about who wins the next election. It's about whether the internet remains a tool for human liberation or becomes a sophisticated instrument of state control. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep the conversation open.